right, and we are now joined by Jayar from the Joy FM. Jayar, how you doing, buddy, in Jacksonville?
Tampa.
Oh, in Tampa? You guys studios in Tampa, but you guys cover the Jacksonville area as well, right?
Gainesville, Tampa, Sarasota, third of the state.
Very nice. Very, very nice. And Jayar is a self-described soccer freak, so he was the perfect guy to get on today to talk to you guys a little bit about what happened at the World Cup final and the entire craziness over the last couple of weeks. All the fans really went crazy. But let's talk about these fans that are huge soccer fans. We don't see many of those here in the United States, but there apparently are a lot of them around the world. Jayar, why don't you tell our viewers, for those of them that maybe were under a rock, don't know anything that was going on, share with them what happened at the World Cup final and what kind of led up to it. Maybe just a brief wrap-up of everything that happened.
Okay, I guess for the nominal fan, you're talking 32 countries, and like you mentioned, it's like soccer is the most popular sport in the world, basically, except the U.S. and maybe, the North Pole or something like that. But it's every 4 years, so this is a huge deal. And I guess it's kind of, I relate it to Star Trek a lot. You can describe it to somebody, but if they're not into it, it's just, going right over their head. So basically, I think this last month that I was into, and I'm always trying to get converts to realize how amazing of a game it is. But the final, which was just, Sunday, you got two teams that have never been in it before. And what's crazy is you're talking 100 years at least of World Cup finals, and only like 7 teams have ever won it. And I think that's the impressive thing. I mean, you're talking Brazil, France, Italy, Germany, Argentina, Uruguay, and I'm missing one other in there. But for Netherlands and Spain to be, one of these two is going to join this special club. And I think that's what makes it interesting is that 7 countries in the world have ever won this thing in 100 years. So, and Spain, of course, winning 1-0. For me, I watch soccer knowing how difficult it is to skill-wise maneuver that ball down into that area. For me, that's more exciting than, I know this is kind of crazy. But for me, football, when you watch American football, if the ball's on the other side of the 50-yard line, you're just sitting there waiting. Here's a 2-yard rush, here's a 5-yard rush, and eventually somebody might make it down there to score. But for me, soccer, within 5 seconds, the ball can go from over there to over here, and a scoring chance, even if they don't score every time, it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. So a 1-0 Spain game, it's not about scoring goals. I'm watching these little magicians running around the field, using their feet to... It's amazing to me. And if you've ever played before, you know how difficult it is, what they're doing, knowing where each other's going. And I love it. Once you get into it, it's like, this is amazing. So Spain did what they do. They're just incredible with their feet, and their defense is incredible. And the Netherlands, tried their best. But anyway, 1-0, Spain won. And so next 4 years from now, it'll be in Brazil. So people who had a problem with those loud horns in South Africa won't have to put up with that. I'm sure it'll be a new musical instrument in Brazil, but nothing that loud, I'm guessing. So, it's good. And then there's a bid for 2018 to see who's going to host the 2018. And I know some people in the U.S. are trying to get it in Tampa and other places. So we'll see where it ends up going. But it can't be. It's the continents. You can't have it for 8 years. So Africa can't get it for 8 years. And after Brazil has it, South America can't get it for another 8 years. So it's either going to be Australia, Europe, or North America that's going to get it, or maybe Asia or the island countries.
I saw a statistic, Jayar, that like 36 billion people across the planet saw it. And I was like, that's like 19 billion more than there were on the planet, right? But
yeah.
That's just like added all the ratings that they've had over the course of the entire World Cup.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I've gotten into arguments with close friends of mine that's like, soccer, blah, blah. I'm like, the whole world can't be wrong, I mean, we are one of the only countries that just doesn't get a kick out of it, no pun intended. So I know a lot of kids play in America, but to actually get them from the age of 12 going further, we can actually start to develop some great players. It's got to take awareness, people getting into it past the age of 12. So I'm grooming my part in my house. So
awesome.
my little munchkins running around. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And so one big thing that I think would be awesome, how do we get people as psyched about Jesus, about our religion, as they are about things like sports and the World Cup? I mean, like I said, they said that like 36 billion people cumulatively watched the World Cup. Wouldn't it be awesome that your show on radio had that many listeners, cross country had that many viewers? It would be so phenomenal to know that there are so many people as psyched about a religious event as they are about sporting events, whether that be soccer, football, whatever sport you want to throw out there.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is foreshadowing heaven. I mean, to me, the World Cup, when you look at, I don't mean this to sound faithless. I'm just saying, I think with the World Cup, when you see millions of people chanting for their nation, it just gives me glimpses into what heaven might look like. And there, maybe there will be more Americans than the soccer crowd in America, but, multiple nations all getting together to cheer for, one common passion being soccer. And I think when you're talking about that, I'm like, gosh, that makes me think of heaven and one common bond being Jesus at the center. In regards to, soccer and faith, that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of interesting to think it, the amount of religions or faiths represented in the World Cup, in those countries is so vast, but they're all bound together by one ball, and one pitch. And, it's like, if soccer can unite that many people who here's Middle Eastern countries that might not, they might hate America, but they're together on one field. And I just find that kind of interesting that everybody puts that, politics aside and they can play. A lot of different religions that might not like Christianity, but they get together on a field and play.
Before I let you go, though, what should we be keeping an eye out for in the world of the Joy FM? Anything big happening in your guys' station?
Yeah, we have thousands listening all over the world. Actually, a guy in South Africa is a radio TV guy in South Africa, and he found our free Joy FM app. So he listens on his iPhone from South Africa, and he's like, hey, I just found your show, and I listen to you every afternoon, or it's nighttime, I think, in South Africa. But I started calling him on the air, and he would give me updates as he's leaving the stadium. He'd call me on the air, and I could hear the horn, and so anyway, that was a good connection that came from that. We focus a lot just on local stuff in regards to helping the poor. August, we're bringing in 10,000 shoes, all going to South America, and then we raise turkeys for the needy all over Florida coming up in November. So we're hitting a stretch where we're doing a lot of using local people who listen to the Joy FM in Florida and using that to help not just Floridians, but other countries as well. So that's kind of the stretch we're in, and it's one of the cool things I like about the station is their focus on using microphone wires and speakers to get people passionate about, as it talks about in James, taking care of the orphans and the widows. And that's not take care of them if they're of faith, take care of them if they're saved. It's take care of orphans and widows. That's part of our Creator's character, and it's kind of a mandate He's given us. And so to use radio to do that, I think, is something that keeps me passionate about. I make a living in radio, but at the same time, I get to do some of that through radio. So that's the season we're in right now.
That's great. So, you guys are doing amazing work. We have been following what you guys have been doing there at the Joy FM, and we encourage all of our viewers to check out your website, www.thejoyfm.com, and you guys can listen to Jayar right there on their web stream. And you're on from what time to what time again?
3 to 7 Eastern.
3 to 7 Eastern time. So definitely check it out.
And when you talk to Need to Breathe about creation, tell them I'm their biggest fan.
We'll do. Pass along the message. All right. God bless you, buddy. And we'll keep you guys in our prayers.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Have a great day. Thank you.
You too.